A friend of mine messaged me last month and said, I am looking for this hat. And she sent me a picture, which I will show you right now. Of Madonna from the 80s. So this is the hat that I've come up with that matches that one. Of course, it's not the right colors. We're going to do the right colors in the tutorial coming up. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to knock off Madonna's look from a 1980s picture that we received. Join us, won't you? Hi, welcome to another Mumzee video. Today we are going to knock off Madonna's hat look from the 1980s following a picture that we got from a friend of ours. So, I'm going to move this out of the way because it is the wrong color. But you can see, do you have your Slurpee? You ready to go? And we're going to go through the supply list. I'm going to make this bow a little less stiff, I think, because the picture is a little softer. But we'll still need black crushed velvet. Now, I went to the store and asked them to cut me the smallest they would give me, which was 0.3 of a meter. So, you know, you don't need much to make a bow, because what we're going to do is hold it like this and gather it up, right? So, tiny bit of crushed velvet, very expensive, so you want the smallest amount you can. Then we're going to need a little bit of stiffener. This is the iron-on interfacing. I'm only going to put it on half. I put it on the full bow and then folded it for this one, but I think it should be a little bit softer. So, just a tiny bit of that. And her picture has black and white striped fabric. This is a knit, but I did this one out of cotton, so whatever your choice, doesn't really matter. I did not bring any elastic. Anyway, it's just a small elastic like this, which happens to be on my pins, which you will also need, and a little safety pins for turning, certain things like that. But just, I did my hat, my head is 22 inches around, so the elastic I only did at like 21 or 20 inches, just so it had some give, so it'd stay on my head. And you'll need thread to match, scissors, measuring tape, all the various things. You'll need to sew, sewing machine, ironing board, that sort of thing. And let's go do the next thing. We'll go downstairs and cut out some of the pieces we're going to need. Okay, the first step we are going to do is get our main fabric, and we're going to cut the hat band out. Now, my head measures 22 inches around, but we're going to make it bigger so that we can put elastic in it, so it'll fit a little bit like a tam sort of style hat. So we're going to go up to 25 inches. And we're going to cut a strip 25 by, depending on how much elastic you want, I'd say 3. 3 is good. 25 by 3 inches. What we're going to do with this hat band is we will need it in a circle. So we're going to put right sides together, and we're going to sew along this short end, just so that we have something that will go around our heads. Okay, so we're at the ironing board here, and you've seen I've just sewn that together. I zigzag stitched it because it is a knit, but if you have cotton, then you can just straight ahead stitch it. what we're going to do is we're going to press the top and the bottom down towards the wrong side there. Just a well, we could do quite a bit actually, just so we know we catch it in there when we're sewing. It'll make it a little bit easier. So I don't know what form of fabric this is. It's been in my stash for so long. It's some sort of knit, but I don't know what the heat of the iron is, so we're just going to carefully pat it down just in case we don't want to burn it. There's the top and the bottom. Okay, now in half. So it's sort of like a big long bias tape. But we want some room to put elastic in there, so you don't want to use bias tape. It'll be too thin. Is that really wobbly? Sorry. Maybe I should have put the camera not on the ironing board. Okay, so now we've got this lovely hat band made. You can see it still fits your head pretty big because we want to put elastic in there. But the next thing we're going to do is cut out the center, like the top of our hat, something to put into the hat band. And I found this works best. We're going to make it into a circle, but it's best to just cut a square first. So I made mine 18 by 18 last time, but I'm thinking that 17 will do. It was a little bit baggy. So we're going to do 17 inches by 17 square of the main fabric here. Now, in order to get it into a circle, we're going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. Oh, these stripes are making me so dizzy against this background. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. I'm going to be cross-eyed by the time I'm done here. And what we're going to do to make it a little bit more circle is we're just going to round out the edges. Now, this doesn't have to be difficult. You don't need anything really to measure or a template for this. It's just going to end up looking a little more round when we're done. So you can see that they're rounded. And what we are going to do in order to gather this up to fit on top of our heads here, and in the hat band, is we are going to sew a long running stitch all the way around so that we can gather. So a long gather stitch they call it, or a baste. I think mine's set to, instead of 2.5, it's set to 5 on the sewing machine, and we're going to just do that all the way around. Okay, we've got that long basting stitch sewn all the way around our sort of circly square thing here. And now here's where our pinning and gathering skills come in handy. Now, what we're going to do is gather this to fit inside of here, inside the hat band. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin it in here one spot. You want it to be like a bias around it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go across and then kind of pin it here so I have an idea of how much to kind of evenly gather it. Now, you don't have to evenly gather it if that's not your preference, because it looks like from the picture that the gathers are more in the back than the front, but that could just be the way the hat sits when it's on your head anyway. So you can kind of just, I should have done this in a gathering thread that I could see. Might have helped a little better. But anyway, gather up the strings here, the thread. We're going to try to, should have done this in like a bright orange or something just so I could see it better. So it might take some work to gather it all in there and a ton of pins. Now, the next thing we're going to do is sew around this to keep the band on. But we don't want to sew the entire thing around because we want to insert elastic in there. So, I'm just going to pick an end point here and double this so I know when to stop. So I'm going to start here, go all the way around. Now make sure you have enough space to insert elastic, so you'll want to be sewing close to this edge, getting both in at once, and then leaving a little bit of space so we can insert some elastic as well. Well, you can see here, if you put it on now, it is absolutely huge on my head. It is time for some elastic. So we'll take that off. But basically we're making a tam or a beret style hat right now. So we're going to get some elastic. I have the small stuff. If you've made your hat band bigger and would like to put in thicker elastic, then go ahead. That will work as well. I didn't want it to be too tight on my head or my friend's head once I get it done. So we're going to measure about 20 or 21 inches, just a little bit smaller than your actual head size, because we want it to stretch a little bit to hold it on a bit. So I'm going to go with 20.5, nice and even in the middle, and we are going to insert that through the hole we left here and then sew the hole shut. Alright, I've got my black velvet here and fix my own hair now that I was playing with that hat. Now they gave me 1/3 of a meter, which is about 11 inches. Does that sound about right? So we'll go 11 and let's see, by 14. I believe I did the last one at 14, so we're going to do that, and we're going to cut our black velvet. This is crushed velvet, so it's soft, so we're going to need a little bit of stiffener. Now, the first one I did, the one that you saw at the beginning, I put the stiffener across the entire thing, but I'm thinking that was a bit too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to just do half. So we're going to cut some of this to make half. And this again is the iron-on interfacing. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be inside your bow. You're not going to see it. And we're just going to iron that on, and then we're going to prepare the bow. So on the wrong side here, we have ironed our stiffener in there, a little bit of interfacing. What we're going to do is fold it up, right sides together, along the 14-inch side, so that it's shorter this way. Because what we're going to do is we're going to sew it around and then gather it up. So we would want it to be shorter this way than, I mean, either way, it's going to be a big bow. But anyway, there we go. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to leave a little hole. So I usually start sewing about here when we folded it in half, and sew all the way around the ends. So there's a hole for turning, but all the rest of it is enclosed. This is what we've got of our bow so far. I'm just going to trim up these seams so that when we turn it, it's not too bulky at the corners. And then we're going to turn it right side out. through that hole we left. Trim this up a bit. Not right where the hole is, just so that it'll be better. This. We're gonna turn it right side out now. Nice corners there, except for where we've turned it. And what we're gonna do to clean it up and make it look a little more pro is we're gonna pin that shut there where we have the hole, and we're just gonna sew along this edge here and the other edge. Even though it's closed, it'll just look more even when we're done if we sew along both ends there. There we have a little rectangle, which we are going to accordion up here and make into a bow. But first we'll need a middle to attach to it here. So we're going to take whatever's left of our crushed velvet, and we're going to cut a little piece, just enough. We'll go 5, and we're going to fold it in half, so I'm going to just do it by 3. So 5 inches by 3 inches or so. It's not a big deal if you don't have it perfect. What's going to happen here is we're going to fold right sides together along the long side here, and we're going to sew it along the long side here to make a tube. We're just going to turn it, and that will make the center of our bow. We've got this sewn into a tube, so we're just going to turn it right side out here, so the velvet's all pretty on the outside here. There we go. And now we're going to sort of fold this accordion-like in the center here, pinch the centers together so we make a nice bow. Decide which side you like best. And that's the side we're going to make. And we're just going to fold that over here. See if we like it. I have mine a little bit crooked. I think it needs to be over a little bit more. There. Kind of pinch it together. And what I did was I sort of tried to secure this by sewing it across a little bit here, so that when we attach the bow, that's just one last extra thing we don't have to attach. But there you go. See, does it look pretty cute? It's a little bit softer than the one that I did earlier, which is good because I think the picture showed that it was a little bit softer and droopier. So there we go. So this is a strange look, but I've tried on my hat now at this point, and I want to know where the bow goes. And I've studied the picture, and the stripes go across this way. So I've decided when I've turned the hat around where exactly I want to put the bow. So if you have a hat model, it's easier than doing it on yourself. But anyway, there's that little bit of extra velvet there that I'm just going to pin where I want it in place, and we're just going to secure it. I hand stitch it down. There's no real great way to do this, but I found that if you attach the bottoms here, you'll want to attach the bottoms to the bottom of the hat, because it doesn't extend on the picture. It doesn't extend down further than that, but it does, the bow part does stick up. So my suggestion to keep it where you want it. See, I've pinned it in place so that I'll sew here, here, and the middle so far. Now, I don't want to attach the top. I learned this the hard way because the first one I did attach the top and it wasn't right. The picture shows that the bow has the top sticking out. So I went with the center here and kind of pinned it where I want it on the hat. And I will attach it there as well. And so here's where we take our hand sewing needle and our black thread or whatever matching you need, and we're going to attach the bow. What do you guys think? Do I look like the picture? I'll put the picture up just so you can see. Pretty good? I think so. Yeah, so that's it. There we have it. Madonna's 1980s knockoff hat. What do you think? I think it's almost 1990s hat, but the picture suggests that it's from the 80s. So I'm gonna go with that. So if you liked this one, like, subscribe, comment what's your favorite Madonna song. When I was making the first one, I played Madonna. I like her 90s stuff though, like Ray of Light. Was that 90s or was that early 2000s? Anyway, my first cassette tape way back in like 1984, 85 was Madonna's Like a Virgin. So I've been a fan for a really long time, and I was probably way too little to have that tape, but it was really awesome. So, yeah, bye-bye for now.